everybody, and welcome to the first tabletop Mass Effect stream, at least by us. If other people did it, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So, I am here joined with my friends, Ollie, Digital Derp, and Rookie Wookie. How's everybody doing?
Doing all right.
Don't everybody sound excited.
Sorry, I was memeing.
You're memeing?
I had to chat. I'm good. I'm awake, which is a surprise.
Yeah.
I may have made a sandwich with some bread that may have been moldy that I may have noticed after the fact. So I may run away at some point.
Ollie, penicillin.
I mean, yeah, it might be good for me.
We haven't even gone into combat yet, and we're about to lose our pilot.
Yeah, I know, seriously.
It'll be fine.
So how's everybody doing? Good?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. All right, so I suppose to get right into this, to get playing and see how things are going, we have with us the some overlay stuff. By the way, there's a lot of stepping back for a second. There's a bunch of issues that would have been resolved last week, but because of the Skype problems, we had to do them this week. Hence the running behind and a few little hiccups you might see here or there, like what's displayed in the chat box down here. Is this? Am I allowed to? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
No. That's you're pointing at Rookie now. So,
I know it's weird.
It's here. So what you're saying, so that chat box, it's going to be a little different. Everything's going to be a little different. Sorry about that, but let's keep going. So the game that we're playing is Mass Effect. Mass Effect taking place in 2164. What is 2164? What does that mean? Mass Effect 2164, it takes place many years, about 2 decades, prior to the beginning of the first Mass Effect video game. So, Shepard is but a baby, a little baby, when this game is taking place.
That is a good point that I hadn't thought about.
Yeah, little baby.
Little babby Shepard.
Yeah, little pooping in
diapers.
Pants. Yeah. So Poopy Shepard is not going to be a part of this game whatsoever. This takes place only 7 years after the first Contact War, which is when humans had for the first time ever, discovered that they weren't alone in the galaxy, that there is another alien race. So only
First
7
time
years
they
ago,
discovered a living alien race.
Yes. So because they had discovered Protheans and
and
believe them to be extinct and whatnot. So
and then reverse engineered the tech because that's what humans do.
So what they did,
Pretty much.
well, that's not just humans. Everybody did it.
It's true. In Mass Effect, everyone stole from everyone else.
Yeah.
Which is great.
No, they shared. They shared. Sharing is caring, Ollie. Sharing is caring.
I'll be doing my research.
Sharing is caring. Okay. So
I don't care.
So moving on, the humans had discovered the Prothean technology. They reworked it. Everybody knows this part. They were exploring the galaxy, expanding outwards for quite a few years, expanding out. Settle here, settle there, settle there. Humans are the cockroaches of the galaxy, so they just will go everywhere and just infest and take over. And they kept spreading out as far as they could. It was their goal to try to open up every gate that they found. We found a gate, open it. We found a gate, open it. Let's see where everything goes. It was super exciting for them. And then they tried to go and open Relay 314. And that is an illegal action in accordance to the rules of the Citadel. The Citadel has a very, very important rule because of an incident that happened a long time ago, wherein you can only open a relay if you know where it goes. Because there are 2 types of relays, alpha relays and beta relays. Alpha relays can link up to, or primary, secondary relays, whatever. Alpha relays link up to any other link up to specific other relays. So this spot can only go to this spot and this spot back to this one. But then there are beta relays or secondary relays, in which case this spot can only go here, but this one can go here, or it can go here, which is up here, or maybe it can even go down here, which is off to the side, right? So that's kind of like how the relays work. And if you do not know specifically where a relay goes, you're not allowed to open it. Well, here these humans are, not knowing these rules, not knowing there's a whole society, blah, blah, blah. They go to open a relay and shoot through it. It's against the law. Taurians notice this. And Taurians are like, Yep, we're going to take these dumb fucks down. And so they do exactly that. They just go and start shooting at the humans. And it causes a mini war. We're going to use the phrase war. It was more or less just a handful of battles, including one siege of a colony. The Taurians eventually found the colony that they believed to be like the primary human military force to be here, and they sieged them, and they're winning the siege, and yay, orbital strikes are so awesome against the poor little humans. And then the humans come in through the relay and beat the living shit out of the Taurians because they didn't expect humans had such a massive fleet. And so there they go, coming flying through, taking over the area, killing all the Taurians that are there. And so Taurians go back to the Citadel, and they're like, all right, well, not to the Citadel, to their home world. And they're like, all right, nope, there's a problem here. Let's solve this problem now. And so they gather together their huge force to go out and just destroy humanity. Luckily, Taurians are part of the Citadel, so kind of like word got to the actual Citadel Council themselves, and they kind of reached out and were like, whoa, 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 whoa. You are about to make a species extinct through ignorance. That is not okay. This is not how we handle things. And they worked out a deal, like a peace treaty between the Taurians and the humans. And then humans, for the first time ever after that happened, after the Asari and Salarian stepped in, were then welcomed to the Citadel, where they were able to open their eyes and for the first time ever see how many fucking races there are in the galaxy. And they're not like Taurians where like, okay, these are bird people, but they still look like people, and so they're rather, you can kind of get it, like, well, that's weird, but you can get it. And there's more than the Asari, which are just like a bunch of bombshell of blue women. And they're more than just the Salarians, which are weird fish people, but still look kind of like people. Then they start meeting the really weird ones, like the Krogans, which are what, like turtle people. They meet the Drell, which are like frog people. And they meet so on and so forth. They come to meet the Keepers.
You even missed like the jellyfish.
Well, hold on. Yeah, no, I haven't
Things
gotten
like
there
that.
yet. They meet the Keepers with like 6 legs and their strange craziness and all of that. They meet the what are they called? The Hanar with their 6 dangly. Is it 6? Dangly.
The jellyfish.
Jellyfish, yeah, with their dangly leg things. Because of the fact that the jellyfish too, they need to be underwater, though not the kind of water that you would have on Earth. That's toxic to them. They would have to be underwater to survive. Instead, the way that they survive is by having like a mass effect field around themselves, hoisting them up and moving them around. That's literally how they travel, because they're supposed to swim, and so they have, and they like float around magically because of the technologies that they have. So I mean, it's just a crazy thing that humans have come across. And when this happened, when all this came to pass, they're seeing all these things. Obviously, different people have different opinions. Like, wow, that's cool, or that's fucking weird, kill them all. You know, like there's all ranges of response is what you get from the humans. But beyond that, the humans were introduced to the extranet. We here in the 21st century understand what the internet is. Well, the extranet is effectively the same thing, but it covers pretty much all of the galaxy. Some places will get a little bit slower than other places, but whatever. So it's like a massive galactic wide web that they have, and the humans were reported on there as being an aggressive combat-like race that more or less we were shitheads that caused the big problem with the Taurians. We did something wrong and we retaliated with them just trying to tell us bad. We retaliated with murder. That's kind of like how we were perceived by many of the races in the galaxy. So it's kind of shitty for us. It's not very fun at all. But that's what we've come to understand them seeing us as. And that curved humans' opinions of them even more, because here they are just trying to get involved in this Citadel galaxy, this interspecies kind of
The galactic stage.
Thank you. There you go. And we're looked upon poorly. So moving on from there. That's kind of like where it was all set for humans first coming in. 7 years later, we are now find ourselves directly aboard the Stalingrad, a frigate-class Alliance military ship. The Stalingrad, which is currently docked onto the Vesuvius, which is a Dreadnought class Alliance ship. Now, the Stalingrad is actually a rather newly made ship. It is less than a year old in its craft, so it has a lot of upgrades compared to other ships out there right now that belong to the Alliance military. It never saw the battle of the First Contact War, which the other races know of as Incident 314. And it's never been fully put through its paces, but it is a decently crafted ship. The Stalingrad itself is, if you're going to think in Mass Effect terms that you're familiar with, it looks nothing like the Normandy. The Normandy was made out of a combination of human and Taurian design. Taurian ships tend to have these like wonderful sloping look to them that look almost like a bird of prey in flight, or like the beak of a bird, because, Taurians. Humans, however, because of the fact that we're in space and things like resistance don't matter, it looks more like a big flying brick. So it has a lot more squared around edges. It fans out in ways that are not aerodynamic at all.
Uncomfortably thin looking.
What was that?
They're all thin looking and look like they might snap at any moment.
Yeah, they are designed to be high functioning in space, but not to have a sleekness to them. Humans are still in the earlier part of designing ships like this, and so they're looking for functionality over a sleek view right now. It's like, think about cars from like the 60s and 70s. They're horrible. But then you go later on, and all of a sudden they get this nice, smooth, aerodynamic pattern to them. So it's kind of like where we stand with how it is that the Stalingrad looks. Now, where the crew actually finds themselves aboard this ship, you are actually not directly on the Stalingrad at the moment. You have all recently been assigned to the Stalingrad. The only one that's actually had an opportunity to walk aboard the ship prior to the opening of this game is going to be Ollie's character, and his name is?
Adam Rockwell.
Adam Rockwell. Adam Rockwell is actually going to be one of the pilots of the ship. There's always more than one pilot. Adam Rockwell is going to be one of the pilots of the ship. For some of the shifts, he's the primary pilot, and for other shifts, he's a secondary pilot. Because there is one other, there's a pilot class is F. There is an F6 aboard that is here to pilot the ship. He is an F4, and there are a couple of F3s as well. So he's the secondary pilot, but the one that takes over during certain shifts or whatever, right? So he's been aboard because he had to see the systems, get familiar with them, so on and so forth. However, the other two have not. So they are aboard this Dreadnought class ship, waiting for a time where they're called aboard the new ship where they're going to be. So do me a favor, please, Rookie Wookie. Give us your character's name, describe her to us, and tell us what she's doing aboard this Dreadnought class ship.
Okay, so Lena Ward, as you all know, she's sniper bitch. That's caught on now. She's just sort of getting to know the area rather than the people first. She's getting to know, just to find a spot where she can not hibernate, but keep an eye out. A good spot where she's not cornered and she's got a good view and she feels comfortable.
Gotcha. So she's you're talking about, like, so she's more or less down in the hangar, walking around the physical ship, the Stalingrad itself. Is that what you're referring to? And maybe even checking the schematics of the ship to kind of like see what might be. Okay, I gotcha. That's cool. So she's
somewhere to skulk.
She's skulking around the ship. She's like, oh, is this fucking piece of shit going to be where I'm stuck? Okay, well, let me make sure I know everything I can about this, my ins, my outs, and so on and so forth. Okay, I'm cool with that. Thank you very much. Could you do the same for us, please, Mr. Derp?
Yeah, sure. So I am James Carmine. I shoot things. So I'd probably be somewhere over at the range or something, or somewhere at requisitions trying to get more ammo, because you can never have too much bullets and things like that, you know.
So that's kind of funny. We ended our chat and our the character creation stream with talking about you trying to get your hands on, what are they called? Thermal clips and grenades. Is that where you were trying to get your hands on?
Yeah, we tried to roll for that and it went hilariously wrong. So I'm good that we can call that a practice, although no guarantees that this will go better.
Spin-off material.
So why don't we do exactly that? Why don't we give it one more go and see if we can get this to work a little bit more in your favor? So would you like to take the honors of being the first die cast in the game?
I shall.
And a 9. Ooh. A 9's actually a pretty good roll in this type of game. So close that and bam. Okay, so with your 9, you go up them and you say what exactly? So you go up to the requisitions officer and they look at you. And they've seen you in here before, and so they're like, "Hey, James."
Hey, man. So I've got a bit of a problem. As you know, I'm well versed in the way of shooting things. And during my last deployment, things got a bit hairy. We got in some close quarters fighting, and I had to pop my thermal clip to keep my butt from falling off. I need my butt. It's very important. So now I'm faced with this problem where I have this beautiful thermal clip here, but it's out of charge. Could you do me a solid and give me a fresh one so I can continue shooting things for the good cause,
Is this the 7th time you've given that exact story? Are you just recycling stories now?
No, I swear. I get into some very tense situations, as a muscle.
I do have to say, for these tense situations you always find yourself in, I never see any new burn marks or holes in your armor. Are you telling me that you're just that good?
I mean, you can come watch me at the range later today. I'd be happy to give you a demonstration.
You know what? Yeah, I think I'll do that. All right, fine. Yeah, I'll see you later on at the range. And he takes the thing and slides it, slaps it on the desk, and so you can take it. And he hands to you a thermal clip.
Sweet.
Awesome. And for those that do not know, the way that we are working ammunition in this game is we're going with Mass Effect 1 style, which is the fact that your weapon eventually overheats, and it needs time to cool down. However, what you can do is, instead of allowing the electronics in your system to slowly cool down, the like this little tube that's inside that's designed to like hold up so it's supposed to slowly exhaust all the heat off of this tube that they hold there, which is called a thermal clip. You can just say fuck it, and you can pop out the thermal clip and pop a new one in there, allowing it to get full ammunition instantly afterwards. But when you do that, that thermal clip that you just kicked out is now fried. You didn't allow it to vent all of its heat fast enough that it's going to still be usable in the future. It's gone forever. And they're not cheap, so generally speaking, you don't have 1,000 thermal clips sitting on your body. However, James Carmine happens to sweet talk the requisitions officer so he can get his hands on some from time to time. I don't know if he's actually killing things or if he's just shooting a lot, but we'll find out. And Ollie, where is your character? What is he doing? And describe him for us on the Vesuvius.
Adam is on the bridge, but you better call him Rockwell. He is a slightly older than he looks, regular old human, sort of 30 years-ish, neatly cropped beard and hair. Unlike basically everyone else on the ship, he's not really wearing armor. He's wearing sort of like engineer's garb. It's the sort of thing that could be quickly, with a couple of extra straps and things, be turned into an airtight suit. It needs be, but is not right now. In fact, he's basically wearing a rebreather type thing that just needs the helmet to onto it at all times, because he's a pilot and he's kind of assuming that he might be jettisoned at a moment because he knows what happens when things go wrong. He may have been on a ship where that's happened before. So yeah, he's just doing his job. The ship is still kind of docked into the Vesuvius, right? So he's just going over, like, I'm assuming he's got like one of those weird desks that all the pilots have in Mass Effect, and he's just going over everything, making sure everything works as intended, probably changing the settings.
Yeah, he definitely does have his own desk because the way that, because you're on the Vesuvius, not on the Stalingrad right now, so it's one of those you're amongst that row of computers that exists on the Vesuvius. The desk isn't quite, again, what does exist there is when you sit down at a desk, you do have your hollow display comes up and you can do everything that you need to over it. Again, it's just not quite as, things are designed to be functional, not look nice. So the seat that you're sitting is comfortable. The keypad and the interface that you're using is designed well. However, this hallway is ugly as shit, so it doesn't have that sleek look to it, even in the Vesuvius.
I've been complaining about the decor of the ship and the design notes of the Stalingrad. Older was better.
What was it?
Older was better. Older ships, far nicer design.
Yeah.
I've been complaining about it to fellow pilots, whether they've been. I feel like they've just been kind of like nodding along.
Yeah.
Because
Just
Rockwell's a
pretending
talker.
that they listen, but really
Yeah.
they're just like,
I
oh, not this
imagine
crap again.
you hear quite quickly that if Rockwell talks to you, you play along, because he's gonna talk one way
Is he
or
known
another.
as the Grump?
I mean, not as much as I am, but yeah, he's pretty grumpy.
I
Okay.
feel like as I'm exploring, I can hear him chatting and chatting and chatting and chatting, and I'm just sighing and walking away. Don't notice me.
So it's kind of like, ugh, I hope I'm not stuck with this guy.
You heard about the new T-16s?
So as you guys are making your way down, so as you're spending your time where you are, eventually you hear, because both of you guys seem to be in the hangar area, as you hear over the loudspeaker a calling to the crew to be joining onto the Stalingrad, time for departure and all that stuff. Carmine, you literally just got the thermal clip from the guy promising to him that you're going to show him how to shoot later on in the range. And he's like, yeah, sounds good. Gives it to you, and you just pick it up, and now you're hearing that you're being called to the Stalingrad for departure. What do you say?
I'll tell him that, well, seems like duty is calling. If we meet again, do remind me, Promise is a promise after all.
Hey, but what about the clip then?
I need that, If we get into any danger, if I don't come back, I can't show you how to shoot, I need that thing. It's very important to continued survival.
You're a bastard, James. You're a bastard. And it's kind of like, it's one of those joking insults. And it's kind of like, ugh. And you start doing the paperwork saying that he gave it to you.
You know you love me.
And so you make your way out and heading down towards the Stalingrad. So you guys don't hear that on the loudspeaker, on the call overhead, because you guys are already inside the hangar. But what you do see is that, well, one of you are familiar with him, and the other one might be, might not be. Rookie, could you do me a favor and roll me a no intelligence check? Or lore intelligence check, my apologies.
Yep.
Bitch knows.
It's a good roll. We're starting off with some good rolls today, huh? Oh, man. Let's see.
Yeah,
You rolled
the,
before a 4 and a 6.
in
She
the
rolled a 5 and a
non-combat
6.
beginning-
What?
In the non-combat section at the beginning where nothing matters. Yeah, we're getting our luck out right when Scott wants us to.
So,
Fiddling with the dials.
I don't have control. I don't reprogram or nothing. No. I didn't make
why
Thunk
would
roll that
you?
natty 20. No. So, you guys, so what you see, both of you guys, you see the captain of the ship come walking in with one of the admirals that are in charge of the Vesuvius itself. So the two of them come walking into the, like the door opens up. The two of them are coming walking in and they're having a conversation. They're too far for either of you to easily make out what it is that they're saying without some sort of electronic aid. But you can definitely see them walking in and coming across the hangar heading towards the ship. They do stop a little bit of distance from the ship itself to finish the conversation that they're having. And then it ends with, the captain himself, like, stopping and giving, like, the correct salute and turning and starting to walk towards the ship to go aboard it. There were 2 guards standing outside the ship. Not that you're afraid, like, these aren't stormtroopers. Not afraid someone's going to break in and try to overthrow our evil government. Nothing like that. There are 2 guards standing outside because they were overseeing the stock and whatnot being brought onto it. They're making sure that everything was being put in place. So you do see that they're there. He walks over, he has quick words with them, and then starts walking onto the ship with them in tow behind him. So the reason why I had you roll that no check was because you actually know who the captain is from your understanding of the lore. You're not new to the military service. You've been around for nearing a decade?
10 years, yeah.
10 years in the military. So you know that is Captain Christopher Daxton. Captain Christopher Daxton he's good at what he does. Let's just say that. He is a man that actually served 7 years ago as a captain to one of the other ships at the First Contact War. One of the ships that came in as the Second Fleet, I think it was, that came in and fought back the Taurians and won the day and ended the siege on, I think it's Shaoyin is the name of it. Xinyao or something like that. I'm going off the top of my head. I don't have notes in front of me.
I think.
Was it? Oh, Zhengzi. Shengzi.
Yeah.
Shengzi. Thank you. So again, going off the top of my head, sorry. So he's one of the ships that came in and fought back. However, he was the captain of a ship that took some pretty heavy fire. There was a lot of damage that came to his ship, and he lost much of his crew. Despite losing much of his crew, he was still seen as a bit of a hero because he continued, some people would say recklessly, continued flying throughout the battle and actually was able to deliver a grievous blow to one of the larger, more impressive Taurian ships that were on siege of the human colony. So again, the reason why he was seen as reckless is because had he pulled back, he probably, estimates would have bet he would have lost less than half of the crew that he did. However, had he pulled back, who knows if anybody else would have been able to deliver that blow, and many more lives could have been lost. So it was one of those, catch-22 situations. You have your own opinion of that, of course, just like everybody else that knows who he is would. So you see Christopher Daxton come in and make his way across and head into the ship itself. Do the two of you continue going about business as usual, or do either of you go to approach the bridge? So go to approach the Stalingrad.
I think I'd probably just walk on board before I suddenly lose my thermal clip.
So you go walking. I'm going to actually go to you last because you're heading all the way down for the requisitions office of the Vesuvius. So you two first. Which would either of you like to do?
Yeah, I'm gonna walk on in, trying to still blend into the background. I usually stick to the edges of the rooms. I don't try to approach anybody. I try to observe who is observing the captain a lot, just to get the lay of the land, see who is who really.
Okay, gotcha. So you're trying to sneak in without being like right?
Not like Pink Panther. No.
Yeah. So you can roll for me a stealth check. However, roll for me with a -2 because you're trying to just be discreet as opposed to legit ducking and hiding behind things.
Yep, okay.
So the modifier pops up just as -2. Oh, so you come walking in. Again, you're just being discreet to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
You're just being discreet to the best of your ability. And they do notice you come aboard. So it's one of those, you walk on board and almost immediately afterwards, where they're standing, they're able to kind of toss a sideways glance, seeing you there. One of them looks like he's going to say something and then kind of looks at your arm and sees your... So the way that the uniforms work is just like in pretty much every military, on either like your shoulder, your chest, or your sleeve, it'll have the insignias of what rank you are. And your rank happens to be an E3, which is a Lance Corporal. But more important than that, always on your chest, right here, is going to be what position you are. So everybody is very familiar with the N7 of Shepard, right? He happens to be Special Forces rank rating 7. Yeah, exactly. Little poopy diaper guy.
Mr. Poopy Baby Man.
Yeah, poopy baby man.
Incredibly high-ranked baby.
Yeah.
Notorious for his diaper smell and nothing else.
Killed in a diet system.
So you would have right there an X4, and X's are the special forces that aren't the special forces. Your special operations. You go in and you handle things that others necessarily cannot, but usually more on the terrestrial side, not so much in the middle of outer space or super crazy atmospheres and stuff like that. That's more of what the N's do. The N's being a rather new branch of our job within the military. So anyways, he looks over, he goes to say something, sees your rank, sees your what you are, and realizes that you're probably meant to be on here. So he kind of like makes eye contact.
Also, my glare towards him like dirt.
Yeah. So he makes eye contact, and then he's like, "All right," and he turns and goes like, because he didn't even take a step towards you, like lifted his leg, but then put it back down and gets back into the conversation he was. But everybody notices you. You are going to stay nearby, just kind of like not watching, but watching the social interaction to see how it plays out. Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
So you're just trying to be discreet, which apparently your character's discretion is she's got her little tablet there and she's looking at it and she's like, totally texting now. I rolled a 2. Totally texting. So
trying to do stuff on my Omni Blade. My Omni Blade's not even out.
yeah.
I'm just tapping my
You don't
eye.
even have an Omni Blade.
No, I don't have an Omni Blade. I have an Omni Tool.
A nominee tool.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. As opposed to Ollie, who is just a tool. So you're going about doing that, watching it. Ollie, what does your character do?
I am shutting down my console, heading onto the bridge. Like, it's where I'm meant to be.
Okay, so finishing up everything you're supposed to climb aboard the ship, and then immediately as soon as you walk in, you look around. You don't have to even make a roll. You see 3 people aboard the ship having a conversation with the captain. You're not being discreet whatsoever, so the 3 of them notice you. You notice them 3, and the captain gets that in a second. And you also look to your other side, and you see standing there some female that's been lurking around the hangar for some time. You do in fact know who she is because you've recently seen a dossier on her, which kind of like makes sense for why you've seen her walking around. Does your character remember her name?
He wouldn't. He's right now opening his Omni tool and checking it.
Oh,
'Cause
gotcha.
The dossier is actually on there. So he's like, he sort of looks around, checks his Omni tool, kind of nods to himself, and then checks for like the specifications of the ship for where his console is in the bridge, and is just going there.
Okay, so you
He's
just
not talking to the people, not talking to the captain.
So when the people look over at you and see you, and you kind of like look back and you see her, you check that to see who it is. You just do kind of like it's human nature. You just do that instinctive kind of like glance back towards the other group of people before you start heading exactly where you need to go, which is actually to your left. And when you do that instinctive kind of like glance up, there's that moment where you and the captain make eye contact, and he just gives you a little nod.
Captain Daxton, and then I'll just sit, and I assume there's some kind of like onto the console so I can move my settings over.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
just
definitely. So I'm actually going to describe the bridge
setting
for
everything
you.
up.
I'm going to describe the
Yeah.
bridge for you. So when you do make your way to the front of the ship, again, this thing doesn't have that sleek and narrowing design. The front of the ship is just about as wide as the back of the ship, because why the fuck not, right? So
Space.
when you go there, the whole bridge area has in it about 8 or 9 seats inside the bridge area. So let me think for a second. It has 8 seats inside the bridge. 4 of them are pilot seats. Generally speaking, not 4 pilots are flying at a time. Generally speaking, it's only 2 pilots. But in high combat moments, you want to like kind of break down the like who's handling what part of the thrusts.
Just in case.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with the 4 that are there, there is one seat. Kind of think how Olympic Games. You have one seat that sits above the other ones, and that's where the primary pilot's going to be. And the reason why it's designed that way isn't to show like a position of authority, is so he can literally look down and see what's happening into the consoles, 2 to his right, 1 to his left, to see what's going on. And then another one that's a bit higher as well, but not quite as tall as that one, is going to be who his direct co-pilot is, because that person's going to be able to look to their right. So generally speaking, the person that's sitting here, and I know my mirrored camera might be throwing it off, the person that's sitting here can look and see 2 consoles that way and 1 this way. The person that's sitting here can see their own and 1 that way. These people can only see their own consoles, and so you can kind of like keep track of what's going on. Your spot is generally this one right here.
Yeah.
Unless you happen to be the primary pilot at the time. You were an X4 above the others that happen to be here. You get longer shifts.
Yeah, I know I'm a higher rank than say like one of the other pilots, and that is, I'm glad to have longer shifts. I deserve it,
Gotcha. Okay.
Who knows?
So the other seats that do happen to be in this. The other seats that do happen to be inside this area, because the 4 of them take up the pilots. You do have one of them that takes up the locking and loading of all of the weapons, so they take care of like the munitions. One of them actually takes care of looking over the targeting algorithms. The funny part is because most of those things are taken care of by VIs, so people are just kind of like, VI's working. That's like their job. And then you have another one who is looking over and making sure, like, say, the kinetic barriers of the ship are holding, the power levels of the thrusters and everything, so on and so forth, are going on. And then near to the very front of the ship, there is another seat. It's a rather large and luxurious and comfortable seat. It's kind of funny because what's your name there? God, I have to memorize names.
Rockwell.
Rockwell. You know Rockwell.
You
That
don't need to know our last names.
we're going to go over a trick for me to memorize your names in a second. So, you know, Rockwell, that this ship was specifically designed with the intention of the captain being Captain Daxton. So the seat isn't large and it's comfortable. It's captain's seat. It is to the front and it is to the left. So it's all the way to the side. So that one person that can only look over the little console because the seat next to them is way high up. That person, it's a little in front and a little to the side of that one right there. However, you also know that that's kind of like a seat that doesn't even need to be there because Daxton is not the kind of person that ever sits when on bridge. He does not sit down ever. He will always be walking the paces, looking over everybody's shoulder. He's very much a lean in and breathe in your ear while you're trying to do work kind of person.
It's takes breath mints.
Maybe, but he really loves hummus, like the extra roasted garlic hummus.
Aren't you lucky, Rockwell?
Am I glad I'm not stationed on the bridge?
So what was I saying? The captain, he will very much make his paces walking around and looking over everybody's shoulder. He very rarely says anything. He's not a micromanager in the sense that he's like, change this, do that. But he's very much he'll lean over your shoulder and he makes like throat sounds. Like he'll sit there like, You know, very, very much like that. And it can be like, if you're the kind of person that that's your pet peeve, oh man. You're going to lose it with him. So you've never actually flown under him, Rockwell. So,
but I know a lot about his ways.
Yeah, his personality. Yeah. You're very familiar.
I've heard just about everything.
So yeah, that's the bridge. That's how it's going to go. There's tons of display screens everywhere. Tons of display screens all over the place. One of the other most notable features of this in particular one is the glass that sees outside. There is no glass in the immediate front of the ship. It is all solid metal in the immediate front of the ship. The only glass that can see things are to the sides and even somewhat down by the floor, so you can like check your bottom corners. But the front of the ship is all just a metal front right there with tons of display screens up in front of you. Because the whole idea is that everybody on the bridge should be able to see everything on the bridge, even if some things are just kind of put down and to the side with only part of their information right there. So let's say somebody's looking over the power levels or whatever. On their own personal screen, it's going to take up everything. But up on the bridge's main screen, it's only going to take up like a small area unless the captain pulls it up to the front.
You zoom it bigger, yeah.
There are only 3 people that can pull things to the main focus of that main screen. That is the primary pilot seat, that's the captain's seat, and then that's the person that checks over like the power levels and kind of checking over everything.
Engineering station, basically.
Exactly. So those are the ones that can throw everything up to the screen so it can all be seen. All right. All that out of the way. Finally, as you guys kind of go into your space, one of you is kind of like snooping in, the other one's setting up, like you said, you kind of sit down. You're a pilot, you know these things. You'd already set up a bunch of stuff on your Omni tool. So as soon as you finally
macros, got those settings going, right?
Exactly that. So
your computer need all the settings.
Yeah.
Well, defaults are trash.
Well, it's nice because like you said, it's like little macros. So you already had that like preset onto your Omni tool, and you already looked at the bridge to make sure what software they were using. So as soon as you sit down, and then all of a sudden, it's like a little wave of like changing and whatnot, almost like a little wave over the monitor. The whole holo display just completely shifts and changes, so everything reshuffles to almost where it's supposed to be. Sadly, they had an update overnight, and you have to sit there and fiddle and
change the numbers, the cropping.
It's like, God damn it! Why is this setting just not? Let me check the code. And so you're sitting there and working on that one. Let's go back to James Carmine. You finally left the requisitions office. You've got your thermal clip in your hand, and you're sitting there and spinning it in the air. Of course, it's like a half-empty bottle, so it doesn't spin well. Spinning your thermal clip in the air as you're walking down the hallway. Making your way towards the hangar. You walk into it, and you said that you were going to.
I'm probably just gonna get on the ship. I don't need to go to the bridge or anything. Like, I don't know. Not necessarily into socializing when I don't need to. And besides, if everyone's in the bridge, who the hell's gonna be guarding the other sides of the ship? You know. So I'd probably just get on board without too much fuzz. Just, I don't know. Maybe talk to some of the security people. I'd probably know a couple of them.
Sure. So you go walking up onto the ship. You look around. You see the captain is nowhere in sight. Who knows where he is? But there are a few people standing around. There's two of them standing around, and some girl that happens to be standing there. You've never seen her before. She's never seen you before, but the two of you are there. You can both see it immediately on yourselves. You're of equal rank, and both of you are immediately can tell that you're both Marines. You can tell that she's an X4, and she can tell that you're a B4. So both of you are not afraid of combat. So I imagine there's that moment of solidarity between the two of you. But then you turn and you start walking off to the security people as to who it is that you know. We're going to name our first NPC. Other than the captain,
Daxton.
Yeah, other than Daxton. So
Mr.
you're
Disposable.
What is that?
Mr. Disposable.
Oh, gotcha. So you're gonna go walking up, and you actually know that there's one by the name of Delieve. His first name you don't know. You know his last name is Delieve. And you have bumped into him quite a few times before, both in a pub and out. And so it's like a familiar face, and so it's nice to see him. And very quickly in conversation, you're able to see that he is going to be stationed on this ship. So, and he's going to be working like security of the ship when you guys are like, when you hit terrestrial side and whatnot. So here you are, the three of you finally on the ship, things coming together. The captain's about to start pulling attention back to himself and getting ready for the beginning of all this. With that, we're going to take our first break. And when we come back from our first break, we'll get things underway. So thank you all for hanging out while we set the setting. And we'll be seeing you shortly. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for the sneeze, Ollie.